with violence. It's going to be an aggravating factor that can lead to more jail time. And the jury didn't consider that by itself, whether he was violent. And there was evidence. So I do think the judge has some leeway here, but it's not absolute, I think, to the point you're making.
Well, and the other thing is, remember, the defense didn't even put on a case. So, you know, one of the arguments, depending on the sentence, would be, we didn't put on a defense because we didn't think the prosecution made its case. You can't take what they said as fact because we exercised our right to rest because of a deficiency of evidence.
I do remember, and the judge made a point of this as well, Agnifilo said in his closing arguments, he made some admissions as to what they had heard. If this was a case, I think he said something to the effect, this is a case of domestic violence, there would be a case here, but that's not what's happening.
So I want to show you guys something.
Oh, is this the video?
Oh, it's so fascinating. So there are a couple of things going on. I can tell you I have some recon. You know, Diddy submitted a letter saying that he was a broken man after all of this and, you know, all the stuff he said. He sent a letter to the judge. My understanding is that there is a feeling in that team that he should still talk to the judge because speaking out loud is a better connection than a letter, which could easily be written by a lawyer. And so don't be surprised if Diddy also speaks today. But this is interesting. This that I'm about to show you is part of an exhibit that they submitted as part of their request for 14 months in prison, which would effectively let him out now. So watch this, and I think it kind of speaks for itself. We're going to play you 2 minutes of it.
No. Harvey, this is our video.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I'm sorry.
Refresh.
No, I thought I had it. Sorry about that.
Can't let this guy queue up a video. Right here, that's it. It's just that
hold on.
You would
Can we please get that story up?
It's up. It's up.
Okay, why is that happening?
Because you slow down. There it is. Nope.
Nope. What's going on here?
That's the live stream. Hang on. Release video. Hey guys, what you have it for should be probably
1,
3.
Well, we already know he's going to be sentenced. Make it 1.
All right, put it at the top.
Thank you.
Okay, this is it. So this is 2.5 minutes of it. We'll show you. So this is what the defense submitted.
I don't think you know that.
You gotta give her a bottle then.
Know that you mean something to people. Know that you mean something to people, like you live somewhere in people's heart.
Thank you. You hear it?
This country and this world we live in may have plans for y'all. I didn't listen to that. I don't want y'all to listen to it either. And I'm happy to say this is our 3rd school we have opened. This official. When we come together as a people, nothing can stop us. What I really do with my freedom is, make sure that I can make change.
You will change the world.
For those of you who are just joining, again, we're showing a video that Diddy's team submitted to the judge to basically show he's a father, he's done good work. They're trying to show this video to have an impact on the judge. It'll be interesting to see what you guys think of this.
I've been to hell.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna make it.
You gonna make it, that's right.
I got something for you. Remember I told you I had a present for you?
Yeah. Ain't that pretty?
This is a heart, because you're my heart.
Oh,
All right?
okay.
You're my heart.
Kim Porter, who shares 3 children with Sean Diddy Combs, has been found dead.
Now I'm a full-time dad, and I'm gonna be there for you through everything, all of y'all.
Thank you for loving us. Thank you
Unless
for
there's a
loving me.
freak off.
Thank you for inspiring. I've looked up to you and admired you outside of you just being my father, just you being just a great human being, a kind human being. I love how you inspire me to keep going, to never stop following my dreams, to always believe in myself.
See your foot, put in that middle part.
I wanted to tell you how much I love you, how much I care for you. Thank you for being so supportive of me and my siblings' dreams, for always encouraging us to go for whatever we want. We love you. We can't wait to make more memories with you. Just want to thank you for everything you do for us. Yes, and I want you to know that you're loved more than you think.
I love you.
I love you so much.
I love you so much. I love you so much.
Hi, Daddy.
What do you guys think? Oh, I want to hear what they say. Are you kidding me?
Oh.
What are they saying?
Even monsters can take love. He abused that poor girl by the elevator. That was the real him. Why he forgot he was being recorded. Nothing can excuse what he's done. I don't know if it's possible to forgive him. He's a dangerous man for children to admire and look up to. So what if he is kind to people he cares about? He is a monster to others. This video is all smoke and mirrors. Sure, he's a family man with suits, but his crimes outweigh his good deeds. This video is a waste of time. He punched her when the cameras turned off. The judge ain't gonna fall for this video. This is a Diddy movie. What about the one where he drags women by their hair? He looks like he gotta film everything to make himself look sweet.
I gotta say, I think this thing lands flat. Flat. That I actually think it's a
I'm shocked that they were allowed.
I'm shocked
that they were. Mistake.
I think it's a huge mistake.
I'm shocked that they were allowed to even
Well,
submit.
they can submit whatever they want, but
Yeah.
we've just talked about the fact that judge shouldn't consider things too far outside of what the evidence was presented at trial. Diddy could have put on evidence. He didn't.
Well, you know what's
he wants to submit something after the
Can
fact.
I tell you what's really interesting? In a way, this video opens the door for all the other people to
Right.
testify about things that he did to them that weren't even part of the trial, for people
Right.
to come in, because he's now trying to show a side that wasn't relevant in court.
Right.
So why can't they?
Why can't they?
And maybe their argument is more relevant than this.
And I think somebody in the comments asked the question, which is the great question. If we're going to see this video, let's show the other videos as well. Let's consider those of him dragging Cassie by the hair most prevalently. The prosecution could put together a really effective video that had nothing to do with the evidence put together at trial, put forth at trial. That would be devastating.
I think this is a terrible move.
I am flabbergasted by
Terrible
that.
move.
And
it's
like-
produced too. It's like-
exactly.
it's
and it also screams of like what defendant would normally be afforded this, right? When you talk about whether someone's getting celebrity justice, the fact that he's able to put together this incredible, like that's something that would be played at the Oscars,
But it's
for
not
his
gonna,
in memoriam.
But it's
That's
not.
like
It's not going to work because it's fake.
but
Right.
I know, but
It's so inauthentic.
It's so inauthentic. It's so inauthentic. This feels like some Hollywood producer is trying to get over on the judge.
Yes.
Okay.
He submitted this to the judge?
Yes,
That's a mistake.
it's huge.
They're going to play it in court today. I mean, you guys just got a preview.
Are there credits at the end?
You know, obviously there are not cameras in the courtroom today, but that video is exactly what's going to be played in court today. So you got a little.
No, it's
preview.
12 minutes.
Yeah.
The actual
Oh,
video.
that's only 2.
That's only 3 minutes.
It's 12
minutes.
minutes? That's really bad because at some point the judge is
And
going
the
to go.
judge halfway through is going to be like, all right, that's quite enough.
I've seen enough.
I agree with all of this that it's going to backfire and it lands very flat. But don't you think that it's hard to watch a soaring score and not have an emotional response? Do you think the emotional response will be all
Can I tell
negative?
you know what my emotional reaction is? Bullshit.
Mine too, but it is part of his life that he does these good deeds.
It absolutely
and he
is.
is
And
maybe soft with his daughter.
And I know there was a comment.
that.
I know there was a comment that says the real him is the person who was beating Cassie. I agree, that is the real him, but that is also the real him. He's their
Unquestionable.
father.
Well, absolutely.
Both things can be true.
But you know, two things.
One is relevant.
Number one, he had every opportunity to present all of that at trial, and he decided not to.
No, you can't.
No, you can't do this.
No.
kind of
I'll
stuff.
tell you why.
You absolutely
Not
could bring
fair.
witnesses off to say,
He didn't need to.
I understand to defeat the case, but you can't now put it up to say what a good guy he is.
He didn't need to do that because the prosecution didn't prove its case.
I'm not arguing any of that.
But Jay,
of course he didn't need to.
This is the most relevant time at sentencing where you give a holistic portrait of a person to say there are aggravating circumstances and there are mitigating. Look how good of a person I am. So taking me off the streets is a negative for society because I build schools. I'm with my family.
Understood. So the prosecution then has the right to go way outside of the testimony provided at trial and say he's not just a bad person in terms of what he did at trial. He's also X, Y, and Z.
And they will.
Which, well, they said they can't, right?
But in their papers, they're already saying, look how they're pointing to all the violence that was during the trial. They are
the evidence submitted at trial.
Right, but not the ones he was convicted on.
Well, the prosecution is relying on evidence submitted at trial. He's relying on things that are he claims to be true, by the way, which is this.
But have never been tested under oath.
But have never been tested under oath. Nobody's cross-examined about the.
Well, you don't have to testify under oath. He loves his kids. Got it. And he's sweet to his kids at times. Maybe he's not sweet to his kids at other times.
They all contain multitudes.
This is such a produced kind of fake version that it's almost offensive.
It invites the judge to have all sorts of things that jump in his head. Like the point where Diddy says he's talking to the kids after Kim Porter's death. I'm gonna be there for you. I'm gonna be there for you at all times.
I'm their own
and in my
parent.
head, I'm just going, unless there's a freak off, then I gotta go do that first. Like, all those things are gonna jump in the judge's head when they play that video.
The judge is just gonna dismiss it. I mean, the bottom line is,
Don't think the cool thing is not to do your work. Don't think the cool thing is to hang on the corner with your friends and to talk about stuff that ain't gonna protect your future.
What did you learn about him as a man who was taking up a new sport?
Well, you know, I was actually very impressed. You know, a lot of people think it's just a celebrity stunt, that he isn't serious about his running. He is as serious about his running, has been the last 9 weeks, as a lot of these guys in the lead pack. I mean, he's really devoted and dedicated himself to running. You know, he's had some knee problems, and a lot of people don't think he's going to finish. He is going to finish, even if he has to do it on one leg, because he's raised a lot of money.
That his defense team is going to play in the courtroom. They may be playing it right now so that the judge and others can hear it before sentencing, to make him more human. Let's keep listening.
Clap it up on the sideline. Let's get our energy right. Come on. To make sure that you pursuing your dream, that you staying focused. Let's go. Let's keep going forward. Let's go means let's be positive. Let's take it up another notch. Let's go spend time with our kids. Let's go. Let's give thanks to God. Let's go. You know, let's turn it up. Let's get in the vocal booth. Let's stop procrastinating. Let's go. You know, let's understand what it's going to take to achieve that dream. So instead of talking about the guns and the violence, I was always talking about a better life. Places we didn't go before. Things we never wore. Cars we never drove. Houses we never lived in. I think I brought an aspiration to hip-hop. Tried to take it out of just being street. Our whole stuff was a fantasy and a dream that I always felt would come true.
I started out just like you guys.
Wow.
I come from New York. I grew up in Harlem. I used to have to wear a uniform every day. Had to get up early in the morning, had to travel to go to school. I worked hard, just like you guys are working. This country and this world we live in may have planned for y'all. I didn't listen to that, and I don't want y'all to listen to it either. Y'all are great. Y'all are kings. Y'all are queens. Y'all are leaders. I just got so excited because this is truly a dream come true for me. And I'm happy to say this is our third school we have opened. It's official.
Do you think this is effective? Will this change the judge's mind or influence the judge? Would it influence you? This video that the defense is going to play, that's according to our Simone Redwine, by the way. He's going to join us later. Here it is.
To me on Instagram. We met Sean Diddy Combs for the first time, and Sean gave Trey a $25,000 grant, which allowed us to open a physical store.
Revolt as one of the only Black-owned networks. We have to own something. We have to have something that's ours. We have to have something that we can control our narrative, and we could speak about things that are important to us, and we could have a platform and a foundation to be free.
So here's how I feel about this. I mean, honestly, if I had anything to do with this and I was in a courtroom, this would piss me off. And if I were the other side, I don't know if the other side is in this, they're at sentencing, I would, you know how come on, you guys know how I would reply. How would you reply to this? I would say, ladies and gentlemen of the court, judge, with all due respect, this is the video, the only video that everyone needs to see. And then I would play the Cassie video. I'm just saying. I don't know why the defense would do this and take that chance, because perhaps these people may do it. Now, look, has he accomplished a lot? Yes, he has. Does that have to do with anything? I don't know. I mean, they're doing whatever they can. The defense is supposed to do that. They're supposed to defend him. But I mean, I would just be like, this is the only video that you really need to see. I would like to leave you with the video. You know? A little bit more, and then we'll see what's happening in the courtroom.
At this time in life, and you're a good person that understands reality. So we're gonna accentuate the positives in life. Cause you're doing great, girl. You're doing great.
God knows.
You know what I'm saying? You're doing great. I want you to be happy about your life. You're doing great. We got a lot of living to do now. Don't have me come behind me. I'll be taking you everywhere. You be going everywhere.
You head out together.
Okay.
When you were a little boy, Jeannie.
All right, that's enough of that. Don't you think that's enough? And if you guys, let me know if you want to see more. Because this is the video that I think people will say, wait, even though this is not what he was on trial for, but this is a video that I would show. So I'm only showing this to you because this is how the legal process works. Don't you think that's enough? And if you guys, let me know if you want. Don't you think that's enough? And if you guys, let me know if you want to see more, because this is the video that I think people will see.
What does he need to say to even try to break through a judge who's already established, I don't feel that you've shown any remorse?
You know, it happens in...
So, how you doing? I interviewed you last time. It was a good interview. I think, unless my spot.
Do the statements that...
Antoine, you've covered so many cases in Lower Manhattan over the years, so many high-profile figures who have been in and out of this courtroom, the federal courthouse. They're no strangers to celebrity. Can you put into context just sort of what you're seeing in terms of the media, the people out there, to some of the other cases that you've covered over the years?
Well, it's a similar circumstance, Dan. Thank you for that question. I appreciate that. It's a similar circumstance as to when I covered Weinstein 1, you know, and that was pre-pandemic. You know, that trial started at the end of February of 2020, and then it was in January, and it wrapped up before we shut down in the pandemic, which was in March of 2020. And that was intense because you have a Hollywood mogul, you know, studio head, you know, accused of predatory behavior, accused of sexually assaulting multiple women, multiple actresses, you know, like that. And that was intense. This is different because Sean Combs is, of course, from New York City. So there's going to be a little bit more intense scrutiny, if you will, because he is a homegrown product here, regardless of what side of the fence you may be on. Nonetheless, when it comes to these, Dan, I can just tell you, since you were only on the peripheral, if you will, Lisa and a couple of our other colleagues were inside, you know, my connection to it was just, you know, doing basically this. And I can just tell you, just be given the scrutiny, because he is a little bit more in the public eye, if you will. You see him a little bit more than you would your Weinstein, you know, or someone like that. I mean, between the products he's produced, between the artists that he's helped launch, between his record label, which was a dominant force in the 90s.
Something, I mean, his lawyers have tried to overturn. Good afternoon. This is AP News live stream of the Sean Diddy Combs sentencing. I'm Julie Walker, and we're here right across the street from the federal courthouse in Lower Manhattan, where Sean Diddy Combs is awaiting his sentencing. The 55-year-old music mogul is set to find out how much time he will be sentenced to for the prostitution-related charges he was found guilty of back in July. Combs was acquitted of the more serious charges of sex trafficking and racketeering. That's the RICO Act. He was found guilty on 2 counts of the Mann Act. Prosecutors want the judge to send him away for 11 years. Combs and his lawyers basically want time served. He's been behind bars at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn for about 13 months. Now, prosecutors are blasting Combs for, according to them, booking some speaking engagements in Miami next week, apparently assuming he'd be free to do it, saying that is the height of hubris. The prosecution's recommended 11-year, 3-month sentence reflects the conduct appropriately consistent with other similarly situated defendants and fully respects the jury's verdict. That is what the prosecution is saying. Now, Combs was not, as I said, Combs was convicted of the Mann Act, but he was not convicted of sex trafficking and of racketeering, which he was charged with. Those are the 2 charges that would have carried the maximum sentence of life in prison. As it is, the Mann Act, which is a prostitution-related charge, carries a 10-year sentence in prison. Again, prosecutors want him to be there for 11 years. His lawyers want him out seemingly immediately. He's served 13 months so far. Now, Combs is set to address the court. In a letter to the judge yesterday, he said that he's a changed man. He's a reformed man. He feels like the time he spent at the Metropolitan Detention Center was enough time to change him, to make him a better person. He says in the letter that he knows saying, "I'm sorry," is not enough, but he says he is sorry. Now, Cassie, the prosecution's star witness and Combs' former girlfriend, sent her own letter to the judge saying that he should get the maximum sentence, saying that he's not a changed man, saying that she doesn't believe him, and that when she said that she was assaulted, no one believed her, and he denied it until that infamous video came out of Combs beating up Cassie in the hotel hallway. Several other people have written letters to the judge, members of Combs' family. His mother, she's 84. She says, yes, my son has flaws, but he deserves to be out of jail and spend the rest of his time with her and with his 7 children. 6 of those children are in court now. They are teens and adults. The youngest, who's not there, is a 2-year-old. Those teens and adult children of Combs also wrote letters to the judge, pleading with him to let their father out, saying that he is a good man and he is a good father, and they want to spend time with him. And in Combs' own letter to the judge, which was 4 pages long, he talked about how he missed his children, how he missed important events with them, taking one to college, graduation, other events that he missed that were family time. And again, saying that he's changed, that one of the things that happened to him while he was in jail was that he was able to get off of drugs and able to get off of alcohol. He says he's been drug and alcohol free for 13 months, even though those things can be found in jail at times because they're smuggled in. He says he's not doing any drugs or any alcohol. He also told the judge in his letter that he believes that he will never be back in criminal court again, that he is leaving those ways behind him. He said he was appalled by the things that he had done, and again apologized for them. Now, one of the people who was set to speak today is no longer speaking. That's a former assistant, and she testified under the pseudonym Mia. And And she had said that she's no longer speaking because prosecutors say she's no longer speaking because she felt intimidated by the defense after they wrote a letter to the judge. Now, the people who are speaking or who are supposed to speak are his children and two doctors who treated Combs and Combs himself. The trial took 6 weeks, just a little over 6 weeks, actually almost 2 months. We were done, though, by July 4th. So Combs has been waiting for sentencing since the beginning of July, and he's been waiting in jail. He asked for bail and was denied by the same judge. He asked for bail more than once and was denied. So it doesn't seem likely he'll be getting out anytime soon. However, no one knows. I mean, it's a big guessing game. And I just heard a cheer go up from the crowd behind me. And I'm not quite sure what's happening in court at this very moment. We do have reporters in court. I am waiting to get an update from them as we speak. But a cheer did go up from the crowd outside court. Now, the line to get into court started forming Wednesday. There were line sitters out here holding spaces for people willing to pay them. There were more line sitters on Thursday when we were here, and then when we got here at 6 a.m., there were people already outside court lined up to get in. That's the only way you're able to see what's happening, because none of the proceedings are broadcast. There are no cameras in court. And I think I'm hearing that there's a 5-minute break in court, and maybe that's why people were cheering. I'm not 100% sure. We did hear that cheer go up from outside court. Now, during the trial, I was here, and there was always a crowd outside court. There were always people cheering for something. So it's still not 100% sure, because the judge has a lot to go through and to get through before he's even sentenced. I want you to take a look at the media. There's a huge lineup of media here in front of the court. And this case has drawn national, if not international, attention, because Sean Diddy Combs is a music mogul. He ran Bad Boy, the music company. He produced people like Biggie, Smalls. He's very well known, and some of his rap actually changed the way the rap industry focused. I mean, one of the things that Combs did was make an 11-minute video that's going to be shown in court, and in that video, they talk about how he elevated rap music to be an aspirational way of life. Also in that video that the Combs team made, you see him with his family, you see him with his children, you see him out in the community, you see him at the charter schools he created in Harlem, you see him, going around the country, visiting people, uplifting people. But again, that's just one side, the side that Combs wants the judge to see and to take into account when he's being sentenced. Then there's the other side of Combs, the side we see in the video that was leaked of him beating up Cassie in the LA hotel room, in the LA hotel hallway. And Cassie reminded the judge in her letter that she doesn't think Combs has changed. She doesn't think he's reformed. She doesn't think he's sorry, and that he deserves the maximum sentence. I'm Julie Walker. You're watching the AP News live stream of the Sean Diddy Combs sentencing. For more, go to our website, AP.
That's that job. It needs to get it no matter what. Like if I walk in like this, I'm supposed to. What?
That's illegal. I know, that's That's crazy. Yeah.
We're on TV.
What? What am I looking at?
See Tony Walnuts?
Paulie.
First of all, let me also be very clear that I also work directly for the administration. Okay, I run all the motorcades here in the Northeast. When our president comes into town, I'm in all the motorcades. So, you know, we are in a fuck around and find out moment. You fuck around, you find out you are going to be held responsible for your, for your actions. It's on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook. The Midnight 123. The Midnight 123. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
How you doing? I haven't seen you in a while. See you again.
It's like 4 hours.
But I'll type it in. Yeah.
a monster.
Right, and so if the law allows for 10 years per count, they're saying he's a monster, give him the 10 years per count, or give him, in this case, 5.5 years per count.
Did you even get to make the point you wanted to make that this was OJ?
I can't because we're out of time.
I'm Nina from Dallas, Texas. I feel as though Diddy is a monster. He deserves to serve at least 2 to 5 years, but
and he was just prosecuted for before.
On Diddy, because on Friday he finds out what his sentence is going to be, but today he found out what prosecutors would like that sentence to be, and it is vastly different from what his attorneys have suggested to the judge. Prosecutors want him to do 11 years, just over 11 years, 11 years and 3 months is what. He should be on supervised release for about a year.
Time served
of a year.
So maybe the judge is going to give him more than time served.
But we should say that the maximum he could get is 20 years.
And that's what I want to get into for a minute, because this is some racist, you know what, this Mann Act. The Mann Act was passed during Reconstruction, so black men would not date white women. And that's why they made taking somebody across state lines and giving them money not just a federal felony, but 20 years in prison.
Well, 10 years. 10 years per account.
20, right. But
he has two counts.
But he would get 20 years.
Right.
The idea of, you know, again, think about somebody gets on a plane with a woman, takes her to Vegas and pays her for sex, takes her back. You're going to give this guy 20 years? This is a racist law. And look,
when it was invented in the, you're right, when this law came out, it absolutely was. And it was only used to early on to convict black men.
I just want to make one other point. I want to make one other point, and then I know you disagree with this. Look, he's been a terrible person. I mean, what he did to Cassie in 2016 is unspeakable. He is awful for what he did. But you have to look at what he was convicted of. He was convicted of the Mann Act. He was acquitted of all the force, fraud, and coercion and racketeering. The jury acquitted him. The prosecutors laid out the case. The jury didn't buy it. So to sentence him as if this is about force, fraud, and coercion, to me, it undermines what the jury did. And, you know, give him, you know, come out with a recommendation of 4 years. But 11 years?
I think there's a couple things here. Number one, to say the Mann Act is a racist law, yes, when it was enacted 100 years ago, it may have been, or 130 years ago. Now it is not, and I have the stats to prove it. 14% of people convicted of the Mann Act are African American, which is actually less than the population as a whole. So it is now applied in a race-neutral way, and I think it's important to say that in the context of Diddy, that he's not being targeted because he's a racist law. He's being targeted because of a race-neutral law.
Okay, so
that we all acknowledge he violated.
So let me ask you something. If
you can still argue that
if Diddy didn't go across state lines, and he was just prosecuted for prostitution,
for solicitation, of prostitution,
would it be a misdemeanor or a felony?
I suppose it would be a felony if he was...
No. It's absolutely a misdemeanor.
Well, there are prostitution charges that can't be, especially when violence is involved.
Suppose your nose was a doorpost. That's not what happened.
No, but hold on.
That's not what happened.
I know, but the difference is a plane ticket. The only difference is a plane ticket.
The difference is the law.
And the law is a racist, antiquated...
It is not racist. It is antiquated.
He just gave you the stats that it's not racist.
It's a ridiculous... Would he have been prosecuted if it was just a Mann Act issue?
No, he never would have been, but he was.
But also,
but Harvey, you acknowledge every prosecution, I would say 90% of them have ancillary in the alternative causes of action that sometimes people are convicted under, and we still punish them for that.
I know, but then the question is, what do you give them? And what I'm saying to you is, if this were a state crime where you didn't cross state lines, it would 100% be a misdemeanor.
You keep saying if, but it's not.
The only difference, Charles, is a plane ticket. And are you going to give some?
That's the reality of what happened.
You are not arguing what is. You're arguing what you think should be.
No, I'm just.
What is each conviction of the Mann Act carries 10 years in prison.
A maximum.
Maximum.
Is this a crime that requires intent?
Of course, every crime requires intent.
Right. So if it requires intent, what's the difference if some guy is going to have sex with a prostitute in Los Angeles and the prostitute's from L.A., or she's from Indiana and flies to
The
LA?
worst thing that could have happened with Diddy is that he was prosecuted on state law crimes, because we know that he committed horrible acts of abuse.
He should have been prosecuted for that.
But he wasn't. But unless he was prosecuted,
because he
was
paid someone
convicted.
off, by the way.
But
terrible.
Yeah.
And he
terrible,
horrible.
I know. I'm not. But this sentence should not be about that.
The judge has a lot of leeway here. The judge can give him time served, all the way up to 10 years per count.
But give him time. I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying 11 years for this is ridiculous.
You're getting so worked up about just the recommendation from the prosecutors. That doesn't mean this is what the judge is going to do.
I know, but they're sore losers.
They
just want to save face.
Had they said 5 years,
if they were sore losers, they should have said 20 years.
I think they think he's a monster and that he should get a lot of time.
He may well be a monster.
Right, and so if the law allows for 10 years per count, they're saying he's a monster, give him the 10 years per count, or give him, in this case, 5.5 years per count.
Did you even get to make the point you wanted to make that this was OJ?
I can't because we're out of time.
I'm Nina from Dallas, Texas. I feel as though Diddy is a monster.
You know what I'm saying? You're doing great. I want you to be happy about your life. You're doing great. We got a lot of living to do now. We got a lot of living to do. Don't have me come behind me. I'll be taking you everywhere. You be going everywhere.
You head out together.
Okay, what's your name?
You were a little boy. Genie.
All right, that's enough of that. Don't you think that's enough? And if you guys, let me know if you want to see more. Because this is the video that I think people will say, wait, even though this is not what he was on trial for, but this is a video that I would show. So I'm only showing this to you because this is how the legal process works. That's how it works. And remember, I'm not even going to show that because there were those fools outside the courthouse celebrating with baby oil. We don't need to, please don't show that. But if you want to know what the leader of the free world has to say about this, regardless of...
I think they think he's a monster and that he should get a lot of time.
He may well be a monster.
Right, and so if the law allows for 10 years per count, they're saying he's a monster, give him the 10 years per count, or give him, in this case, 5.5 years per count.
Did you even get to make the point you wanted to make that this was OJ?
I can't because we're out of time.
I'm Nina from Dallas, Texas. I feel as though Diddy is a monster. He deserves to serve at least 2 to 5 years, but I think to keep casting.
They were sore losers. They should have said 20 years.
I think they think he's a monster and that he should get a lot of time.
He may well be a monster.
Right, and so if the law allows for 10 years per count, they're saying he's a monster, give him the 10 years per count, or give him, in this case, 5.5 years per count.
Did you even get to make the point you wanted to make that this was OJ? Not in Atlanta right now. So he says he's in LA. What we don't know yet, and his lawyer put out this statement, we don't know where the to have all sorts of things that jump in his head. Like the point where Diddy says victims, what if we lose the label victim, all right? That doesn't matter. Take the label away. Can he take into consideration the things that they either testified to or, in this case, Cassie's written this very passionate
They are talking about, look, I think there's no issue you can call Cassie a victim because of the 2016 beating. And so what she has to say is really relevant as a victim in the case. The interesting thing is, what about Jane and Mia? The jury didn't find, at least according to the criminal standard, that they were victims. They did not find that because he was found not guilty on sex trafficking. The Mann Act has nothing to do with them. It has to do with it has to do with the sex worker.
Right, but they were
Charlie,
present for those.
doesn't make them a victim.
Or just be ready.
I get it, but their testimony, as far as this,
it's not victim's impact, is what I'm saying. They've already testified as witnesses, but it's not victim's impact.
Well, let me just say this. Cassie, to say that about Cassie.
No, I didn't. You didn't hear what I said.
I think you said Cassie and Jane.
I said Mia and Jane.
Oh, Mia, yeah.
Yeah.
Mia was not part of it.
Cassie definitely is a victim because the 2016 video was introduced into evidence.
Also, you remember the things that happened while the Mann Act was violated. Like her being peed on?
Well, no. But what I'm saying to you is that would be. The problem is the jury didn't find that lack of consent.
No, I get it.
And that's what I'm saying.
But at least that is directly related to the violations of the Mann Act, right? She's in the freak off when these things happen to her.
What the defense argued was that was consensual. Well, no, they did.
I get that they argued that.
And the jury didn't find it wasn't, is my point. I'm not saying it was or wasn't. I'm just saying when the judge is ruling, there was no...
I'm just saying, what I'm saying is that the judge, from what I have read, will take into consideration acts of violence or that were done during these, when prostitutes were...
We'll see. But if there were acts of violence, then he would have been convicted on sex trafficking.
No.
Sure.
No.
That's what sex trafficking is. If you are violent where somebody is not consenting,
correct,
then you are guilty of sex trafficking.
Right.
Under that law.
But will the judge take into consideration Cassie's testimony of what she says happened? I get it that the defense is going to say she was discredited and this, that, da.
Well, they found him not guilty on that.
I understand, but things that are related to the violations of the Mann Act, right? So anytime that a prostitute was hired, taken over state lines, and they had whatever encounters they had, whatever happened during those encounters should be...
Let me ask you something.
Relevant.
It
should be relevant to the sentence.
Okay, let me give you a hypothetical.
I'm just asking you.
No, let me give you a hypothetical.
How about you just answer my question?
Okay, the answer is no.
Okay, thank you.
Hold on. If two people engage...
I should be taken to law school.
If two people engage in S&M,
right,
voluntarily,
right,
you could call that violence, couldn't you?
It depends on how they view it after the fact.
Suppose they've... Not after the fact, during the fact.
No. During the fact, sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
If they consent and say somebody gets whipped, that would be a violent act if it were non-consensual, right?
Correct.
Okay. If it's,
it's a violent act.
It's a violent act.
It's a violent act, period, but you may be into that violent act.
If it's consensual, are you a victim?
Of what?
A victim of anything. Are you a victim?
You can't just say a victim. I don't know, maybe a victim of something. I'm not a victim of, if I wanted that, then no, I'm not a victim of that particular act.
So his position was, this was, and again, I'm not embracing what he's saying. His position to the jury,
feels like you are a little
I'm
bit,
not,
but
because I already said, Cassie can be considered a victim.
Right.
Certainly based on the 2016 video, which was introduced into evidence.
Right.
She can be called a victim.
See, you're saying only based on that video, and I'm saying that the things that Jane and Cassie said happened to them during the freak-offs, the judge will take into consideration. Can take into consideration. I don't know if he will, but he can, legally.
Legally, The question is, will the judge do it if the jury found basically, look, there's no proof there was no consent there, because you got to prove no consent to whatever was done. And had there been no consent, he would have been found guilty of sex trafficking. He wasn't found guilty of sex trafficking because they couldn't find there was that lack of consent beyond a reasonable doubt. So if they're
beyond a reasonable doubt.
Well, now the question is, can the judge lower the standard?
Exactly.
And he hasn't said, no, he hasn't said. But I'm just...
He hasn't said, but he can, the law allows him to do that. I don't know if he's going to.
There might be a reversible error issue here at some point, and that's one of the things...
See, now he's going to bring up legal terms that I don't...
Because it's a legal thing. Yeah, sentencing is a legal thing. That's why I'm bringing it up.
No, I know.
It's not a baseball game.
No, but
it's a legal
plain reversible error.
So if the judge has a certain amount of discretion, but if he considers issues that he shouldn't, then an appellate court...
Well, what do you mean he shouldn't?
Well, that's...
Who determines what he should and
Well,
shouldn't?
ultimately...
The law does, right?
Well, but the law is not crystal clear on what the judge can consider. They don't, the law doesn't have every case and say, oh...
I mean, there are guidelines for the judge, right?
And the question is, does he go beyond the guidelines to...
Well, if he goes beyond the guidelines, then obviously that's
to call
an error.
Jane or Mia a victim and consider them as victims.
What if we lose the label victim, all right? That doesn't matter. Take the label away. Can he take into consideration the things that they either testified to, or in this case, Cassie's written this very passionate letter about what she's going through still. Can he take that into consideration?
I think Cassie's different than Mia, and...
Absolutely. Take Mia out of it. Cassie and Jane.
Cassie and Jane.
Cassie and Jane.
Cassie's different than Jane.
How?
Because of the 2016 video. The judge has incontrovertible evidence that he was a violent man toward Cassie. It was admitted into evidence. There's not a question about it.
Right.
It was stipulated.
Sure. I mean, we all
so she is in a different position than Jane.
So the fact that Jane testified to really what sounded like, there's no video, and actually more horrific beating than what Cassie went through.
And the jury didn't buy it.
And I don't know that means that the jury didn't buy it.
Had they bought it, he would have been found guilty of sex trafficking as to Jane.
No.
Yes, it meets all the elements. It meets every element.
No, because that fight that she described was not in the middle of a freak-off. That was them. In fact, the freak-off happened after the fight, is what she said. The fight was just them at, I think it was her house, and they got into an argument, and he beat her, according to her, beat her in the closet, chased her. She ran across the street, hid in the bushes, and it went on for hours. And at the end of it, they came together, and then he said, call up so-and-so,
look,
and we're gonna have a freak-off.
This is gonna be the wild card. How far does the judge look at the crimes for which he was convicted and say, look, here are my parameters, or is the judge going to go beyond that? And if he goes beyond it, how far beyond it does he go? Does he consider Cassie but not Jane and Mia? Does he consider all of that? And I think that's the wild card here.
What did I hear this morning about the guidelines changed, the federal guidelines for the judge changed last year and what he can consider?
He can, look, I don't think it's clear whether he can consider beyond what was presented in court and proven in court. But I think there's still a gray area. That's why guidelines are changing.
I think the key is going to be he cannot consider anything for which Diddy was acquitted or which the jury made a decision on. The jury made a decision on violence in furtherance of a felony, of a conspiracy. But violence itself is always an aggravating factor, right? If any act is committed with violence, it's going to be an aggravating factor that can lead to more jail time. And the jury didn't consider that by itself, whether he was violent. And there was evidence. So I do think the judge has some leeway here, but it's not absolute, I think, to the point you're making.
Well, and the other thing is, remember, the defense didn't even put on a case. So you know, one of the arguments, depending on the sentence, would be, we didn't put on a defense because we didn't think the prosecution made its case. You can't take what they said as fact because we exercised our right to rest because of a deficiency of evidence.
I do remember, and the judge made a point of this as well, Agnifilo said in his closing arguments, he made some admissions as to what they had heard. If this was a case, I think he said something to the effect, this is a case of domestic violence, there would be a case here, but that's not what's happening.
So I want to show you guys something.
Oh, is this the video?
Oh, it's so fascinating. So there are a couple of things going on. I can tell you I have some recon. You know, Diddy submitted a letter saying that he was a broken man after all of this and, you know, all the stuff he said. He sent a letter to the judge. My understanding is that there is a feeling in that team that he should still talk to the judge because speaking out loud is a better connection than a letter, which could easily be written by a lawyer. And so don't be surprised if Diddy also speaks today. But this is interesting. This that I'm about to show you is part of an exhibit that they submitted as part of their request for 14 months in prison, which would effectively let him out now. So watch this, and I think it kind of speaks for itself. We're going to play you 2 minutes of it.
No. Harvey, this is our video. Hang on.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I'm sorry.
Refresh.
No, I thought I had it. Sorry about that.
Can't let this guy queue up a video. Right here, that's it. It's just that
hold on.
You would.
Can we please get that story up?
It's up. It's up.
Okay, why is that happening?
Because you slow down. There it is. Nope.
Nope. What's going on here?
That's the live stream. Hang on. Release video. Hey guys, what you have it for should be probably
1,
3.
Well, we already know he's going to be sentenced. Make it 1.
All right, put it at the top.
Thank you. Okay, this is it. So this is 2.5 minutes of it. We'll show you. So this is what the defense submitted.
I don't think you know, man. You gotta give her a bottle then. Know that you mean something to people. Know that you mean something to people, but you live somewhere in people's heart. Thank you. You hear it? This country and this world we live in may have plans for y'all. I didn't listen to that. I don't want y'all to listen to it either. And I'm happy to say this is our 3rd school we have opened. It's official. When we come together as a people, nothing can stop us. What I want to do with my freedom is make sure that I can make change. You will change the world.
For those of you who are just joining, again, we're showing a video that Diddy's team submitted to the judge to basically show he's a father, he's done good work. They're trying to show this video to have an impact on the judge. It'll be interesting to see what you guys think of this.
I've been to hell.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna make it.
You gonna make it, that's right. I got something for you. When I told you I had a present for you?
Yeah. Ain't that pretty?
This is a heart, because you're my heart.
Oh.
All right?
Okay.
You're my heart.
Kim Porter, who shares 3 children with Sean Diddy Combs, has been found dead.
Everything, all of y'all.
Thank you for loving us. Thank you for loving me. Thank you for inspiring. I've looked up to you and admired you outside of you just being my father, just you being just a great human being, a kind human being. I love how you inspire me to keep going, to never stop following my dreams, to always believe in so.
See your foot, put in that middle part.
I wanted to tell you how much I love you, how much I care for you. Thank you for being so supportive of me and my siblings' dreams, for always encouraging us to go for whatever we want. We love you. We can't wait to make more memories with you. Just want to thank you for everything you do for us. Yes, and let you know that you're loved more than you think.
I love you.
I love you so much.
I love you so much. I love you so much.
Hi, Daddy.
What do you guys think? Oh, I want to hear what they say. Are you kidding me?
Oh.
What are they saying?
Even monsters can take love. He abused that poor girl by the elevator. That was the real him. Why he forgot he was being recorded. Nothing can excuse what he's done. I don't know if it's possible to forgive him. He's a dangerous man for children to admire and look up to. So what if he is kind to people he cares about? He is a monster to others. This video is all smoke and mirrors. Sure, he's a family man with suits, but his crimes outweigh his good deeds. This video is a waste of time. He punched her when the cameras turned off. The judge ain't gonna fall for this video. This is a Diddy movie. What about the one where he drags women by their hair? He looks like he gotta film everything to make himself look sweet.
I gotta say, I think this thing lands flat. Flat. That I actually think it's a mistake.
I'm shocked that they were allowed.
I'm shocked that they were. I think it's a huge mistake.
I'm shocked that they were allowed to even submit.
Well, they can submit whatever they want, but
Yeah.
we've just talked about the fact that judge shouldn't consider things too far outside of what the evidence was presented at trial. Diddy could have put on evidence. He didn't.
Well, you know
what's
what's
something after the
Can
fact.
I tell you what's really interesting? In a way, this video opens the door for all the other people to testify about things that he did to them that weren't even part of the trial, for people to come in, because he's now trying to show a side that wasn't relevant in court. Right. So why can't they?
Why can't they?
And maybe their argument is more relevant than this.
And I think somebody in the comments asked the question, which is the great question. If we're going to see this video, let's show the other videos as well. Let's consider those of him dragging Cassie by the hair most prevalently. The prosecution could put together a really effective video that had nothing to do with the evidence put together at trial, put forth at trial. That would be devastating.
I think this is a terrible move.
I am flabbergasted by that.
Terrible move.
And it's
produced
like,
too. It's
exactly.
Like, it's
and it also screams of like what defendant would normally be afforded this, right? When you talk about whether someone's getting celebrity justice, the fact that he's able to put together this incredible, like that's something that would be played at the Oscars,
but it's not
in memoriam.
But it's not it's not going to work because it's fake.
But right. I know, but
it's so inauthentic.
It's so inauthentic. It's so inauthentic. This feels like some Hollywood producer is trying to get over on the judge.
Yes.
Okay.
He submitted this to the judge?
Yes.
That's a mistake.
It's huge.
They're going to play it in court today. I mean, you guys just got a preview.
Are there credits at the end?
You know, obviously there are not cameras in the courtroom today, but that video is exactly what's going to be played in court today. So you got a little.
No, it's 12 minutes. The actual video.
That's only 2.
That's only 3 minutes.
It's 12 minutes.
12 minutes.
That's really bad because at some point the judge is going to go.
The judge halfway through is going to be like, "All right, that's quite enough."
I've seen enough.
I agree with all of this that it's going to backfire and it lands very flat. But don't you think that it's hard to watch a soaring score and not have an emotional response? Do you think the emotional response will be all negative?
You know what my emotional reaction is? Bullshit.
Mine too, but it is part of his life that he does these good deeds.
It absolutely
and
is.
he isn't maybe soft with his daughter.
And I know there was a comment. I know there was a comment that says the real him is the person who was beating Cassie. I agree, that is the real him, but that is also the real him. He's their father.
Absolutely.
Both things can be true.
But you know, two things.
One is relevant.
Number one, he had every opportunity to present all of that at trial, and he decided not to.
No, you can't.
No, you can't do this.
No. I'll tell you why.
You absolutely
not
could bring
fair.
witnesses off to say,
he didn't need to.
I understand to defeat the case, but you can't now put it up to say what a good guy he is.
He didn't need to do that because the prosecution didn't prove its case.
I'm not arguing any of that.
But
of course he didn't need to.
This is the most relevant time at sentencing where you give a holistic portrait of a person to say there are aggravating circumstances and there are mitigating. Look how good of a person I am. So taking me off the streets is a net negative for society because I build schools. I'm with my family.
Understood. So the prosecution then has the right to go way outside of the testimony provided at trial and say he's not just a bad person in terms of what he did
submitted to trial. He's also X, Y, and Z.
And they will.
Which, well, they said they can't,
But
right?
in their papers, they're already saying, look how they're pointing to all the violence that was during the trial. They are
the evidence submitted at trial.
Right, but not the ones he was convicted on.
Well, the prosecution is relying on evidence submitted at trial. He's relying on things that are he claims to be true, by the way, which is this.
But have never been tested under oath.
But have never been tested under oath. Nobody's cross-examined about the.
Well, you don't have to testify under oath. He loves his kids. Got it. And he's sweet to his kids at times. Maybe he's not sweet to his kids at other times.
They all contain multitudes.
This is such a produced kind of fake version that it's almost offensive.
It invites the judge to have all sorts of things that jump in his head. Like the point where Diddy says he's talking to the kids after Kim Porter's death. I'm gonna be there for you. I'm gonna be there for you at all times. And in my head, I'm just going, unless there's a freak off, then I gotta go do that first. Like, all those things are gonna jump in the judge's head when they play that video.
The judge is just going to dismiss it. I mean, the bottom line is, it's not even what the judge doesn't like. The judge is going to look at what he says is relevant. And again, the prosecution, we are told, is going to take hours, which is very interesting. The defense, I'm told, is surprised by that. So the big question is, Diddy going to address the judge? And my recon is there's a split in the defense team on this, and that some people think he absolutely should talk to the judge because you need that connection. A letter doesn't create the connection. I don't know. As of last night, my understanding is no decision. There may be one now, but I'm also told Diddy is a wild card. And even if the decision is don't speak, there may be a point he
Do we know, is he
Do you think philosophically that this really can change a judge's mind? The judge has done his homework, right? The judge has a prepared statement he's written out in advance, so he's going to read from. I suppose he could make little handwritten notes within that statement. I just think that maybe there's more harm to be done than good that could come from Diddy speaking. Like, the judge is not going to get more lenient than walking in.
Here's the reality.
That's what I'm saying. Is there more harm that could? I don't really think so.
Here's the reality of this. I mean, I know a lot of judges who sentence, and they make their decision before they get on the bench. So this judge has a number in mind, and probably, most likely, nothing is going to move the needle from where the judge is. There may be a bombshell, but really, what bombshell is there going to be? We've heard from Cassie, and Cassie submitted her letter. You know, if Jane testifies, Jane's already testified. Mia's already testified. We know their story. We know his side. You know he's going to say, I'm remorseful, and I regret it, and I've learned, and all of that stuff. Bullying? The judge has heard it all. He's read Diddy's letter. He's heard all the testimony. He's made his decision. If there's a huge bombshell, which there's not going to be, it's not going to change.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Hey,
I agree with you.
So,
judge is on the bench, by the way.
An update from, they're in court. Diddy is wearing a white collared shirt with a crew neck sweater, a white crew neck sweater. And Mia, this just came across, Mia is not gonna, she no longer wishes to testify in court. She's not gonna make her statement in court because she said something about bullying. Now, it's not clear.
Social media.
What was it, the letter?
Due to a letter submitted by the defense that's bullying.
She found something in the letter, in Diddy's letter, bullying. I don't know.
I don't think that moves things one way or another.
No, and as we said, Mia is not directly
in the case.
This is going to be, I'll tell you, the judge has made a decision.
But can it change is the question. Like with a Hail Mary, if it can't change, then maybe he should speak.
What could be said that is going to change the judge at this point?
What is he going to say beyond the letter that he submitted, beyond that video? Like, it's all there already. So and he's not playing up to cameras. Like, to your point, which you made yesterday, I think it's
good right now.
No, I know.
Based on bond, how much time do you think Diddy will get? 1 to 4 years, 5 to 9 years, over 10 years? An overwhelming majority of 60 or 53% said 1 to 4 years.
Yeah, 5 to 9.
Yeah, it's going to be 1 to 4.
1 to 4.
It's 1 to 4.
I think your over underline
again,
was off.
my guess, and I'm totally guessing, but I'm kind of not. I mean, I think 40 months.
40 months.
I think it's going to be 40 months.
All right.
I think 5.5 years is my
And time served included in the 40 months, obviously.
Right. Yeah, of course.
He's done, what, 18 months now?
No, he's 12, in a year. He's 13. In a year.
13 months?
It's going to
okay.
end up being about 13.
So 27
But he
months.
also gets 15% credit.
You think he's going to have roughly?
So he'll be out in a year and a half.
But there are other credits he gets too. He'll be out in a year with that.
That's not what the judge has indicated in any of his rulings.
In
all of his rulings on bail, on denying the acquittal, he has indicated that he finds him
here
violent.
it is. Will he be in jail or out of jail on June 15th, 2027? It's a year and 8 months from now.
I will say in jail.
What's happening on June 15th? Why are you picking
why
that
did you
date?
pick that? Just
Date that I picked. I'm the MC here.
Well, no, I'd rather do 2 years from today because I think that's more likely. I think 2 years
Even
from
with
today
time
he's
served?
out. With times, well, it's always time served.
But a year.
Excuse the bookies.
What are you getting?
Janet?
Sorry, the judge just said that the letter, the tone was inappropriate and it shouldn't happen again.
Which letter?
Diddy's letter.
The one from yesterday.
Really?
Interesting.
He said the tone was inappropriate and it shouldn't happen again.
Let's pull that letter up.
It's
What do you say now?
You got the letter?
He doesn't even like his letter.
That is really.
I said
he doesn't even like his
5.5
letter.
Can
we get Derek a mic?
Take the over.
Since he's going to be talking,
did he apologize?
Right, the defense letter, it's Diddy.
4.5 is the over-under line.
Right.
And I take the over.
Read the
let's
letter.
get the letter. This is really interesting.
Because they also had just talked about
I know.
the letter in terms of me.
I was going to pull it up on my computer.
And then you're like, oh, I'm not
judge meant-
well, no, I would do it on my computer.
But the judge meant by
Oh, well, then
inappropriate.
do
It was
that.
too
Okay.
long.
What's the...
Dear Judge Subramanian.
Yes. Here, Charles.
Oh, by the way,
For your
we
eyes,
have to
Charles.
do a...
We
you
would've
have
known
it
about
printed
it,
out?
yeah.
We are going to be doing
okay, I'll clarify that.
a live talk back with our affiliate here
Hey,
in
how
Los
come
Angeles,
the
ATV?
live stream's not up on the website?
It is. It's in the Diddy, the top story, the Diddy story.
Oh, you put it in that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just to clarify, he said the defense's letter when referencing the one the tone was inappropriate, but unless there was another letter submitted.
I mean,
I think it's that letter.
Yeah.
I got it right here, Charles.
I hope this letter finds you well and in good health.
I can do it in big...
Thank you for the opportunity to express my thoughts to you. First and foremost, I want to apologize and say how sincerely sorry I am for all the hurt and pain that I have caused others by my conduct. I take full responsibility and accountability for my past wrongs. This has been the hardest 2 years of my life, and I have no one to blame for my current reality and situation but myself. In my life, I've made many mistakes, but I am no longer running from them. I'm so sorry for the hurt that I caused, but I understand that the mere words, I'm sorry, will never be good enough, as these words alone cannot erase the pain from the past.
Okay, let's do this as the 4 questions where then the next person speaks at the table. Over the past 13 months.
Harvey, we have to do this live.
I know. I have had to look in the mirror like never before. My pain became my teacher. My sadness was my motivator. I have to admit, my downfall was rooted in my selfishness. The scene and images of me assaulting Cassie play over and over in my head daily. I literally lost my mind. I was dead wrong for putting my hands on the woman that I loved. I'm sorry for that and always will be. My domestic violence will always be a heavy burden that I will forever carry. The remorse, the sorrow, the regret, the disappointment, the shame. I honestly feel sorry for something that I couldn't forgive someone else for. If they put their hands on one of my daughters, this is why it's so hard for me to forgive myself. It's like a deep wound that would leave an ugly scar. So he goes on and on and on.
Yeah, I mean, there's 4 pages here. We're not gonna read the whole thing.
What is off about
so
that tone?
interesting.
It's a very
So
standard
how
tone.
about this? Why don't you guys look for anything in the tone?
We gotta do our
talk
live
to
shot.
KTTV.
We're going to do a
Bob
live
and
shot
Jen?
now for KTTV right now, which is going to be like 2 minutes, but you can watch it. And we're going to talk about this. What?
That is in part, the prosecution said, because of a letter the defense submitted to the judge seeking to block Mia from speaking, writing that, quote, virtually everything that came out of her mouth, end quote, while on the stand during the trial, quote, was a lie.
Who's
That's the letter?
Was that a letter or a... Well, no, but that was...
Good afternoon, everyone. We are now in day 3 of the Democrat-led government shutdown. The Democrats continue to recklessly hold the American people hostage over their demands to give illegal aliens free health care. Republicans are fully unified behind passing nonpartisan clean funding bill, the exact same bill that Democrats approved back in March to reopen the federal government. But those same Senate Democrats are now voting against this clean funding bill and keeping the people's government closed. I understand Democrats will have an opportunity very shortly here to change course, and we hope that they will. There are significant personal impacts on millions of Americans as a result of this current government shutdown. The 1.3 million men and women of America's Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, Coast Guard, and Space Force who serve honorably and put their lives on the line to defend us all are not being paid. Military families are already seeking out food assistance because of financial anxiety caused by this Democrat shutdown. According to new reporting from the Military Times, staff members at the Armed Services YMCA food pantry distribution location near Fort Hood in Texas found a line of military families stretched around the side of the building yesterday at 5 in the morning. According to the staff who work there, that is, quote, not happened ever. They've already had a 34% increase this week over past weeks. President Trump and Republicans fundamentally believe we have a sacred responsibility to protect and provide for our military families with the resources they need to thrive. If Democrats believe in this very simple premise too, they should end this shutdown immediately. Unfortunately, the severe impacts of the Democrat shutdown extend beyond our troops. Nearly 7 million mothers, infants, and low-income families who rely on government-run food assistance will be in jeopardy if the WIC program runs out of money in the weeks ahead. The more than 13,000 air traffic controllers who ensure that Americans fly safely in airports across the country are currently working without pay. The National Flood Insurance Program is in danger of lapsing, which could leave families without necessary help if a disaster strikes, and we are in the middle of hurricane season. Critical services offered at Social Security field offices are reduced for senior citizens and disabled Americans. Helpful transition assistance programs are not being provided for veterans who fought to defend our country and are now trying to re-enter civilian life. The economic consequences of this shutdown are piling up every day. Policymakers, markets, and even the Federal Reserve are flying blind at a key juncture because BLS and BEA data are on hold until the government reopens. Democrats shutting down the federal government to give health care to illegal aliens could lead to lower growth and higher unemployment rates for Americans. According to a new memo from the Council of Economic Advisors, the U.S. economy could lose $15 billion of growth domestic product each week. Every single week, the Democrat shutdown extends, with a month-long shutdown leading to an additional 43,000 unemployed people. Small businesses are likely to encounter delays in receiving federal loans. Mortgage applications will likely shrink. And just this morning, Business Roundtable, an association of more than 200 CEOs of Americans' leading companies representing every sector of the U.S. economy, put out a statement urging Congress to pass the clean CR that will once again come before them in the Senate floor in just a few moments. Quote, a fully functioning government is essential for American businesses, workers, and consumers, while policymakers continue working on a full-year funding package and other pressing issues. Again, that is a quote from the Business Roundtable. What's clear is that the Democrats' actions account to an intentional sabotage of our country and our people by shutting down our government. This madness must end. President Trump and Republicans are calling on Democrats to reopen the government immediately on behalf of the American public. All we need are 5 Democrat senators to do the right thing and to stop this shutdown. Call your Democrat senator and tell them to vote yes to reopen the government. On another matter, despite the Democrat shutdown, President Trump's efforts to make America safe again continue. President Trump believes that American cities should be the safest places on earth, and he is committed to making this a reality. We've already seen that President Trump successfully made D.C. safe again in only a few weeks. That same crime crackdown will continue to happen in cities across the country and is happening in Portland, Oregon. President Trump will end the radical left's reign of terror in Portland once and for all. The president has directed Secretary Hegseth to provide all necessary troops to protect war-ravaged Portland and any ICE facilities under siege from attack by Antifa and other left-wing domestic terrorists. What's been allowed to happen in Portland, and we saw disturbing video footage of this last night, this is not peaceful protesting, this is left-wing anarchy that has been destroying this great American city for years, leaving police officers battered, citizens terrorized, and business properties damaged. Since early June alone, Antifa terrorists have laid siege to the ICE field office in South Portland. These radical left-wing lunatics have violently breached the ICE facility by using a stop sign as a battering ram, hurled explosives and other projectiles at law enforcement, repeatedly assault and dox officers, berate their law-abiding neighbors, and have even rolled out a guillotine in front of the ICE facility. And more people should be reporting on that. President Trump has sent federal law enforcement to protect federal assets and arrest those fueling this violence. Just last night, we saw an extremely troubling incident where conservative journalist Nick Sorter was captured on video being taken into custody by the Portland police after he was ambushed by Antifa and was defending himself from these assaults. But instead of arresting these violent mob members night after night after night who are ravaging this community, the police arrested a journalist who was there trying to document the chaos, and everyone in this room should be extremely concerned about that. The Department of Justice spoke with that journalist this morning, and they will be launching a full investigation into his arrest. This incident is part of a troubling trend in Portland where left-wing mobs believe they get to decide who can visit and live in their city. It is not their city. It is the American people's city, and President Trump is going to restore that. I just spoke with the president about this, and he has directed his team here at the White House to begin reviewing aid that can potentially be cut in Portland. We will not fund states that allow anarchy. There will also be an additional surge of federal resources to Portland immediately, including enhanced CBP and ICE resources. Law and order will prevail, and President Trump will make sure of it. With that, I'll take your questions, and we will begin today's briefing with our new media seat, Amanda Head from Just the News. Amanda, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Karoline. On that most recent topic that you mentioned, reportedly Portland police have not been able to engage protesters to the degree that they normally would. Does the president plan on handling this from that angle as well with city leaders?
Yes. From our understanding in the law enforcement that we have here in the Homeland Security Task Force, I spoke with them this morning, and what they're seeing is that unfortunately, local police has been restricted from responding or cooperating at all with federal authorities, which is completely absurd. We have surged federal law enforcement personnel to this city to restore law and order and to work alongside local law enforcement. And we've seen the benefits of this in Washington, D.C. And all of you live here, so you can agree Washington, D.C. is and feels much safer because of the cooperation between federal and local law enforcement. They can and must be working together. And we think it's despicable that these local elected officials who swear an oath to protect their people are preventing law enforcement from doing their jobs on the ground. So that's why the president has directed his team here at the White House, and they are already on it to look into how we can cut funds. And the president wants to work with anyone. If the mayor of Portland were to call him right now and say, Mr. President, please help us, I am sure the president would be willing to do that. He is genuinely serious about wanting to restore order in America's cities. But it's become apparent that the local and elected officials in Oregon do not feel the same. And that's very unfortunate for the people who live there.
And then one more question on the government shutdown. Should there be some type of scheduled layoffs to maybe entice Democrats to come to the table, like every hour another agency, another 100 pink slips. I'm sure Russ Vought has a list of folks ready to go.
Well, look, the Office of Management and Budget, as we've said repeatedly, is working with the agencies and our cabinet secretaries to identify where cuts unfortunately can and have to be made. And again, we understand there's another vote happening on the Senate floor in an hour. Maybe if Democrats do the right thing, this government shutdown can be over. Our troops can get paid again. We can go back to doing the business of the American people. But if this shutdown continues, as we've said, layoffs are an unfortunate consequence of that. And Russ Vought has been in contact with our cabinet secretaries at their respective agencies to discuss that. Thank you, Amanda. Kelly.
How would this administration define what makes a Democrat agency, which agencies, and what constitutes being a Democrat agency?
I think this administration has been very clear, Kelly, that we're not going to tolerate waste, fraud, and abuse in our government. And we've also been very clear to point out when agencies or when programs do not align with this administration's values of putting our country first. You've seen that with USAID and in various other cases where there's been cuts made or funding has been slashed. And so, again, unfortunately, we're having to do a massive review of the bureaucracy to be good stewards of the American taxpayer dollar. And it's the Democrats who have forced the White House and the president into this position by voting to shut the government down.
You've talked about thousands likely layoffs coming. Do you have an update on the timeline for that? How quickly? And if the government is restored to funding and back in operation, will that list of potential layoffs still be on the table?
Look, as I just stated, the Office of Management and Budget is in constant communication and contact right now with our cabinet secretaries and agencies across the board to identify, unfortunately, where layoffs have to be made and where cuts have to happen. But again, the Democrats have an opportunity to prevent this if they vote to reopen the government. That is all this administration and the president is asking for. Vote for a clean, continuing resolution to keep the government open. Peter.
Thank you, Caroline. During the campaign.
Thank you, Peter.
I was raised to say thank you in the White House briefing room. During the campaign, President Trump said that he did not know anything about Project 2025. Now he knows about it. Is that the blueprint for shrinking the government?
Look, the blueprint is what the president and his team and his cabinet secretaries ultimately decide. And the president trusts his cabinet secretaries to identify where there is waste, fraud, and abuse. We pointed out this morning, or Russ Vought tweeted about this morning, a Chicago rail project that was canceled. We paused $2.1 billion in Chicago infrastructure projects, specifically the Red Line extension and the red and purple modernization projects. And it's because the administration is concerned that the Biden administration was handing out taxpayer dollars to pay for this construction based on DEI. DOT is reviewing the race-based contracting on unconstitutional grounds. And in the meantime, the Department of Transportation funds for these projects are on hold. So I guess this answers both of your questions. This would be an example of that.
And just because there's so much shutdown talk, something different. What do you guys think about the NFL's decision to name Bad Bunny as the Super Bowl halftime performer, somebody who has not scheduled shows in the U.S. because he says that he is worried that ICE is going to come and arrest his fans?
Well, look, I know there are many in this room who are very anxious to hear the president's response to Bad Bunny being the halftime show, so I won't get ahead of him. I won't reveal what he feels about this. Next time you all ask him a question, you're welcome to do that. I have my own feelings on that, but that's not what I'm up here to talk about. As far as ICE being at the Super Bowl, as far as I'm aware, there's no tangible plan for that in store right now. However, of course, this administration is always going to arrest and deport illegal immigrants when we find them. If they are criminals, we're going to do the right thing by our country. Kate.
Did the president and Russ Vought decide yesterday in their meeting which cuts they wanted to make to agencies and which ones would be permanent?
Again, I've kind of answered this question a few different times now. It's been asked in a few different ways. Their discussions continue between the Office of Management and Budget and cabinet agencies across the board, and they are actively identifying where these cuts and these layoffs have to be made as this government shutdown hopefully does not continue.
And on Hamas, the president said that if Hamas rejects the proposal, that Netanyahu would have his full backing to finish the job. A UN report found that Israel was committing genocide in Gaza. Does the president have concerns about the civilians being killed, the worsening humanitarian crisis, and are there limits to what the White House would support when it comes to Israel's actions in Gaza?
Look, the president has deep concerns about all of the atrocities that have taken place in the Middle East over the past few years. It's deeply unfortunate that he inherited this mess from the Biden administration. If you all recall, under President Trump in his first term, the Middle East was on a pathway for peace and prosperity. There was the historic signing of the Abraham Accords. Israel was on a path to normalization between Arab and Gulf nations, and we hope that can continue. But right now, the president has made it very clear to Hamas that this is an acceptable and detailed proposal that they must accept, or the consequences are going to be very grave for them. And he has given them a deadline of Sunday evening at 6 p.m. When I was out here on Wednesday, I told all of you, I'll leave it to the president to make that red line, and he now has. I think the entire world should hear the president of the United States loud and clear. And Hamas has an opportunity to accept this plan and to move forward in a peaceful and prosperous manner in the region. And if they don't, the consequences, unfortunately, are going to be very tragic. Michael.
Thank you, Caroline. Has the president declared war on international drug cartels? And if so, or if he will, does he feel he needs congressional approval?
As the White House has said many times, the president has directed these actions, these strikes against Venezuelan drug cartels and these boats, consistent with his responsibility to protect the United States interests abroad and in furtherance of the U.S. national security and foreign policy interests. This is pursuant to his constitutional authority as commander-in-chief and the chief executive to conduct foreign relations. In each of these cases, Michael, the vessels have been assessed by the U.S. intelligence community to be affiliated with designated terrorist organizations engaged at the time in trafficking illicit drugs to our country. The president has been very clear, dating back to the campaign trail, that he is always going to do what's in the best interest of the American homeland. And he also promised the American people he was going to end the drug epidemic that has taken far too many American lives. And you're seeing those actions play out almost every single day here.
One last question on the shutdown, Caroline. Hakeem Jeffries has said that President Trump is in the Presidential Witness Protection Program since the shutdown has begun. What's the White House's reaction to that?
That's just more ridiculous fodder from Hakeem Jeffries. As you all know, because you're here every day, the president is literally working around the clock right now. I think he has a swearing-in ceremony, or he already did. He has several meetings on the books today. He literally works 24/7. Anyone who works in this place or covers this place, as you all do, knows that to be true. And Hakeem Jeffries and the Senate Democrats should get back to work in a few minutes and vote to reopen the government. Emily.
Thank you, Caroline. You spoke earlier about the energy and infrastructure projects that Director Vogt paused. Will the White House agree to restore that funding as part of the deal to end the shutdown?
Well, I won't make any agreements here. Senate Republicans are talking with their colleagues on the Democrat side, but right now, Russ Vought is doing what he's been tasked to do in the midst of this government shutdown, which is to look at funds that need to be temporarily halted or need to be canceled. And Chicago is just another example of that.
Caroline.
Go to Libby in the back.
Thank you, Caroline. I have two questions for you. One on the FDA, but first on the shutdown.
Sure.
Will the administration, if this government shutdown ends, still move forward with firing thousands of federal workers?
Look, as I've said repeatedly, Libby, right now we want the government to be open. Layoffs are an unfortunate consequence of a government shutdown, and it's something the administration is examining. If the government is reopened, we're going to get back to doing what we were doing last week and the week before, working on the issues that the American people care about.
And then on the FDA, they just approved that new abortion pill, and it's causing a lot of uproar among Republicans. What is the president's response to that, and does the administration plan to have that FDA approval?
Well, the Secretary of Health and Human Services, Bobby Kennedy, has put out several statements on this. The HHS's decision, it's not an endorsement of this drug by any means. They are just simply following the law. And as they put out in their statement, by law, the Secretary of Health and Human Services must approve a generic drug application if the application demonstrates the generic drug is the, quote, same as the brand name drug. Generic applicants are not required to submit independent evidence proving safety and effectiveness. As such, FDA's decision to approve a second generic version does not address the merits of the current safety program. HHS is reviewing adverse effects to ensure that FDA's required safety program for the drug is sufficient to protect women. This safety review equally applies to generic versions of this drug. So FDA and HHS are following the law. It's, again, not an endorsement of the drug itself. Mary.
Thanks, Karoline. 2 questions on the shutdown. You've argued that these impending layoffs are necessary to keep essential services up and running, but that has never been the case in any previous shutdown. Even when the government was shut down for 35 days in Trump's first term, you've never had to lay off thousands of workers to keep essential services up and running. So why are layoffs now necessary in this shutdown?
Because we have an administration and we have a president who are wholeheartedly focused on restoring fiscal sanity to our government and doing the right thing by the American taxpayer. We are $37 trillion in debt, and the federal government is currently shut down. There is no more money coming into the federal government's coffers. And as you've also seen since the beginning, in January, this administration is focusing on waste, fraud, and abuse. And so Democrats have given this administration an unenviable choice to have to take a look at the balance sheet and identify where these cuts and layoffs can be made.
And you just said this is an unenviable choice, that this is an unfortunate consequence, but the president has described this as an unprecedented opportunity to lay off additional workers. He's posted a video likening Rust Vote to the Grim Reaper. So which is this? Is this an opportunity to fire more workers or an unfortunate consequence?
Look, the president likes to have a little fun every now and then, and I think both things can be true at the same time. The Democrats have given the administration this opportunity, and we don't like laying people off. Nobody takes joy in that around here, and if you think that, then I think that's very sad. You view the White House and our staff as wanting to put people out of work. Nobody wants to do that, but sometimes in government you have to make tough decisions. Carrie.
Going back to Portland, as far as the city council there is concerned, they appear to be very sympathetic towards the protesters over at the ICE facility. Is the White House considering invoking the Insurrection Act over in Portland? Is that something they are considering also? As far as the Portland City Council is concerned, are they looking at members there who are appear to be helping out the protesters as far as suggesting to get burner phones, et cetera, et cetera?
That's not something I've heard that's under consideration or discussion at this time.
Karoline.
Caroline, who's ever yelling in the back? Go ahead.
Me. Sure. Thank you. Bianca Gracia here, and I have a question. This week, the Democrats have chosen illegals over hard-working Hispanic Americans during Hispanic Heritage Month, causing the White House to cancel the celebration with the president. Is the president open to letting the Hispanics, who overwhelmingly voted for him, have their own fiesta in the White House lawn opposed to the fancy, we don't need fancy smancy, right? You can give us the backyard and we'll fill it all in and have in our own fiesta. Is the president open to that?
I had no idea she was going to ask that question. I just want to preface that. I've never met you. I just want to say that, but welcome to the briefing room. I love your energy. I can't personally unilaterally promise the South Lawn grounds. We have some construction going on out there, but I know that everyone here views it as very unfortunate we had to cancel or hopefully just reschedule the Hispanic American Heritage Month event, and it's because we are working around the clock during this government shutdown. When the Democrats vote to reopen the government, that event will be back in the planning stages. You're welcome. Brian, go ahead.
Very much. Welcome to the briefing room, by the way. I was with the Secretary of War and the Attorney General in Memphis just the other day as we were going to a command center. And I noticed a billboard along the highway that said, "Memphis welcomes the National Guard." Now, what is your message today to Democrat mayors watching us right now that suffer from TDS and they cannot get Trump out of the way to saving their city, Portland being one of them?
They should do the right thing by their citizens, Brian. They should call the president, they should call the White House and say, we want to work with you. And in Memphis, we are seeing some cooperation. As you saw from that billboard, the people of Memphis are loving this, and they are very grateful for the federal government's efforts. And federal law enforcement is there. We're working alongside local law enforcement. We'd like to see it ramped up a little bit because we want to make progress, and we want to arrest as many bad criminals as we can. Since Monday, I do have some updated statistics from the Homeland Security Council this morning. Since Monday, 153 arrests have been made in Memphis, including 5 gang members. 48 illegal guns have been seized, and 5 missing children have already been recovered. Last night, 60 arrests were made and 21 illegal firearms were seized. Arrests from last night include a suspect wanted for rape of a child under 13, first-degree murder, breaking and entering, aggravated assault, illegal drug possession, and many more. So we continue to see good results coming in through Memphis, and the president is very excited about making Memphis safe again. In the blue.
Thank you. At the top of the briefing, you made a statement about that the Democrats are interested in giving health care to illegal immigrants.
Yes, they are.
U.S. law already prohibits that. It's a 1996 law saying that they cannot give unauthorized immigrants any federally subsidized health care coverage through Medicaid, the Affordable Care Act, or the Children's Health Insurance Program. There seems to be a disconnect in the messaging.
Are you denying that Medicaid money has never gone to illegal aliens in the United States of America?
I'm asking you if you can explain the disconnect in the messaging.
I most certainly can. The Democrats' proposal, their continuing resolution, let me just reiterate, the Republicans' continuing resolution was a clean continuing resolution. There was no partisan politics injected into it. There were no conservative wish lists injected to it. What the Republicans want, and still want to this very second, is a clean continuing resolution to fund the United States government. What did the Democrats want in their continuing resolution? They inserted a provision to undo a provision in the Working Families Tax Cut, the One Big Beautiful Bill, that ended taxpayer-funded health care illegal benefits for illegal aliens. Democrats' proposal would require Medicaid to pay more for emergency care provided to illegal aliens than Medicaid does for American patients who are disabled, elderly, or children. And this bill would have also allowed California to continue a gimmick that funds its Medicaid for Illegals program. Those are things that we ended, the Trump administration ended, with the passage and the signage of the One Big Beautiful Bill. And it is an undisputed fact, a fact that under the Biden administration, illegal aliens were absolutely receiving taxpayer-funded health care benefits. In fact, in fiscal year 2024, Medicaid costs for emergency services for illegal immigrants skyrocketed by 142% from the previous year to $9.1 billion. That's $9.1 billion taxpayer dollars that were going to emergency services for illegals. Between President Trump's last full fiscal year under his first administration and Joe Biden's last full fiscal year, Medicaid spending on emergency services for illegal immigrants nearly tripled. There was an increase of 196% between 2020 and 2024. And I have a chart here for you, and I'm more than happy to email it to you. I'd also like to add, because some were asking dishonest questions yesterday about emergency rooms. In Southern California, according to healthcare professionals in 2023, under the Biden administration, Southern California's, quote, entire healthcare system was being bombarded with illegal immigrants and forcing American patients to endure longer wait times. In Denver, Colorado, the CEO of Denver Health stated that 8,000 illegal immigrants made 20,000 visits to the city's health system in 2023, leaving an uncompensated bill totaling over $10 million. So when an illegal alien goes to the emergency room, who's paying for it? The American taxpayer. The main safety net hospital in Denver had to turn away patients due to the massive influx of illegal immigrants into the community. And UC Health Hospitals in 2024 reported their system was under stress from an increasing number of migrants. As a result, according to the head of emergency departments and urgent cares across the hospital system, quote, access is impeded for everyone. These are healthcare professionals who dealt with this directly, and there's a lot more where that came from. It is an undisputed fact that Democrats want to give taxpayer-funded healthcare benefits to illegal immigrants, period.
Yeah, thank you, Karoline. Is the president talking directly to Democratic senators to try and get their vote for a clean CR?
The Senate Republicans are speaking directly with moderate Democrats. I understand those conversations have become very serious, and we hope positive in the right direction so that Democrats will do the right thing.
I don't know if you saw overnight a refinery in California went up in flames. Is the president going to help the governor should gas prices spike, or could he help the governor?
Look, I know the administration and the White House are aware of that situation that took place. I don't have any announcements for you, Ed, on that.
Has the president seen the first draft of the commemorative coin that the Treasury is doing for the 250th anniversary? It has his face on it.
Oh, I'm not sure if he's seen it, but I'm sure he'll love it. Kara.
Thank you, Caroline. It's now being reported that former President Biden's DHS and TSA placed peaceful January 6th protesters and even Americans who refused to wear masks during COVID onto watch lists usually reserved for terrorists. Most of these people were not charged with crimes. Does the White House have a comment on the prior administration violating the free speech and due process of these Americans? And where is the outrage from the left that claims to stand for due process and free speech? And after that, I have another question about protecting journalists from Antifa.
Sure. Well, Kara, to your first point, please send me that report. That's certainly very concerning. I haven't seen it myself, but if indeed that was happening, it's something I'm sure the Department of Justice and the FBI would deem worthy of looking into.
And journalists, as you mentioned earlier, are being increasingly attacked by leftist protesters. I was actually assaulted outside of President Trump's United Nations speech, and I think the White House is aware that a Portland journalist was almost blinded by an Antifa protester. This has been a problem that's gone on for years, and police often say that their hands are tied. Does the White House have a plan or plan on issuing a statement maybe discouraging this violence against journalists out on the street like me and so many others in this room?
Well, I hope that my statement earlier in the briefing served that purpose, but of course we condemn violence against anyone in this country, and journalists as well, who are exercising their First Amendment right. And there have been so many incredible independent journalists across the country who have gone undercover within Antifa and really have come to understand how this is a growing domestic terrorism threat inside of our country. And I would encourage maybe some of you in this room to get outside the Beltway and go do some of that undercover investigative reporting, because it is really incredible what they found. I met with one of them in my office yesterday, and they're doing very dangerous work in difficult circumstances, and Antifa is a very violent group, as you've experienced and that many others in the media have as well. Christian.
Yeah, thanks, Caroline. Following up on Libby, sort of on the other side of the abortion debate, has the president abandoned his campaign pledge to mandate insurance coverage for IVF services?
No.
Was there any update on that? We flew by that May EO deadline for the White House to produce a plan.
I literally just read a statement from the Health and Human Services on for Libby at least, as far as IVF goes. I'll check in with our policy team and we'll get you some updates.
And then on Russia, how concerned is the White House that the Russian Navy seems to be escalating its provocation of NATO allies? I'm talking, of course, to the several close calls they've had with the Danish military during the EU leaders meeting in Copenhagen.
It's something the administration takes very seriously, and we are constantly monitoring it. The National Security Council here at the White House is in constant correspondence with our NATO allies, and the president speaks to many of them as well.
Yes. We've seen a spate of gun violence in this country, both mass shootings. We've seen this Michigan church that was attacked, children being shot in pews in Minnesota. We've also seen politically motivated assassinations of Minnesota lawmakers, Charlie Kirk. Has any of this made the president or the White House rethink gun safety prevention in this country? Either red flag laws, I know that was a conversation in the first Trump administration, or is there anything on the table right now on gun violence?
Of course, this is an extremely pressing issue for the administration in our entire country. It's deeply alarming to everyone here, the violence that we've seen taking place all over the country, the assassinations that have unfortunately, tragically taken place throughout the last several months. There are many discussions about how to prevent such violence and how we can ensure that law enforcement has the resources they can on the ground to not only respond, but again, to prevent such tragedies from taking place. If there are red flags with an individual in a community, that they are treated as an emergency, a public safety emergency, not just, turn a blind eye to. There's many other things we can do, but the administration and the president has always also made it clear he's always going to protect the constitutional right, Second Amendment constitutional right of Americans to own guns.
Would you advocate for Congress to pass a federal red flag law? Right now, they just incentivize states financially to have red flag laws, but I know Lindsey Graham has worked on this as a Republican. There are some Republicans that do support this kind of gun safety legislation.
I don't want to get ahead of the president on any congressional action or any suggestion to Congress on that matter. Andrew.
Thank you, Caroline. Two things. First, to follow up on something you said earlier about hospitals treating undocumented or illegal aliens. Is it the administration's position that hospitals should not have to treat people who come into the emergency department who are not here legally?
No, that's not our position. Our position is that it's completely unacceptable that the Biden administration paroled and encouraged an invasion of tens of millions of illegal aliens into our country and then promised them free health care. And the Democrats are on the record repeatedly stating that they believe illegal aliens should have health care benefits, free health care benefits in the United States of America. So that is a recipe for a disaster. Of course you're going to encourage a mass illegal invasion of our country, which is exactly what happened. And we've seen the unfortunate consequence of that, where American patients are being put last, where American patients are having to wait in wait rooms, where grandmothers and grandfathers are waiting hours and hours for care because they're being put behind the line to illegal aliens. And we don't agree with that. We don't support that. That's why the administration is desperately trying to fix it and deport the tens of millions of illegal aliens that the Democrats and the Biden administration allowed into our country. And we'd love to continue doing that work so long as the federal government is reopened. And there are many federal law enforcement agents and officers right now who are working without pay. That's unacceptable. The Democrats need to reopen the United States government, and we hope that they will do the right thing on the Senate floor in just a few moments. Thank you, everyone.
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to day 3 of the Democrat shutdown. You can see it's pretty empty around here. There's normally a lot of activity. On an average day, we have about 7,000 visitors here in the Capitol. School children and school groups and visitors and constituents, but they're not here right now. And around the country, all around the country right now, real pain is being endured by real people because the Democrats have decided to play politics. So Leader Thune and I wanted to come out and do 2 things today, just give you a brief update on where things stand with this Democrat shutdown, and then to reiterate once more, present the simple facts about what we're facing. This is necessary because the Democrats have a full-out assault to spin the facts and try to pretend as though they are not what they actually are. And some of the mainstream media are participating in this as well. I was giving our leadership press conference yesterday, and in mid-sentence, I was cut off by one of the networks, CNN. I hope you'll stay with us for a few more moments, because what I was about to say before they went to try to disclaim my remarks was I was about to point to the very page in Chuck Schumer's counter-proposal continuing resolution that proves the very fact that we've been stating. So let me go through that very quickly so everyone here has no question. And I want Chuck Schumer and Elizabeth Warren and AOC and everybody else who's been trying to spin this truth to watch and try to refute what I'm about to show you. Now here's a visual aid, okay? This is the bill. This is the counter-proposal continuing resolution that Chuck Schumer and the Senate Democrats filed. 2 weeks ago, mid-September, the House passed a clean, simple continuing resolution. It merely continues the Biden-era policies and spending that we're enduring right now for 7 more weeks to allow the appropriations process to continue. That's Republicans and Democrats in both chambers working together to get the government funded. We ran out of time because the end of the fiscal year is September 30th. We needed a few more weeks, so we sent it over. Ours is 24 pages in length. It says, let's just keep the status quo so this process, this procedure, this regular order can be done. Chuck Schumer rejected that. Senate Democrats rejected that. Now 3 times they voted against that measure, and this is what they propose in advance, in exchange for that. So instead, the counterproposal, this is page 57. This is on our website. Go to speaker.gov. You can get all these visual aids for yourself, all right? Page 57, section 2141. You see the highlighted language. There's a lot of legalese in this legislation, in these bills, but it says that they want to repeal the health subtitle changes. What does that refer to? You read down here, Public Law 119-21. That's the one big beautiful bill. That's the American Families Tax Cut. What they want to do is repeal the very important and necessary changes that Republicans voted to put into law. President Trump signed that into law on July 4th, triumphantly on Independence Day. It was a great marquee achievement for lots of reasons. Well, some of the most important provisions in that law was that it eliminated fraud and abuse of our health system. Medicaid has been rife with fraud and abuse, and so we reformed it. Why? To help provide more and better health services for the American people. Because the problem with Medicaid is it's been abused. We had so many people on Medicaid that never were intended to be there. Medicaid was written for the people who need it most, the elderly, the disabled, sometimes young pregnant women who are in difficult situations. But the resources are being drained. You know why? Because there was two primary categories of people that should never have been there in the first place. One was able-bodied young men who are riding the wagon who should be working. We got them back to work. And the other thing that we focused on was the illegal aliens. By the CBO's estimate, about 1.4 million illegal aliens were receiving Medicaid benefits that were intended only for U.S. citizens that met the categories I just described. They were gaming the system, they were cheating the system, and what that means is that less resources were available for the people, the Americans who actually needed it most. So we did the common sense thing, the right thing, the just thing, and we put it in the law, and the president signed that, gladly signed it into law. They want to repeal it. They want to give those resources back to illegal aliens. That's exactly what that highlighted language means. On this exhibit number 2 over here, I feel like I'm back in court. Exhibit number 2, okay? This is the specifics of what that would mean. When we say they want to give $200 billion back to illegal aliens, these are the specifics. If you read the legalese here in the language in the bill on page 57 and what follows, that's what it's talking about. These are all the various provisions in the chart over here. Those are listed in millions. So you see the final total there, $192.8 billion of your hard-earned taxpayer dollars that Chuck Schumer and the Democrats want to give back to illegal aliens. That's a fact, and nobody can refute it. Now look, what we've done is very simple. We sent over a continuing clean resolution. This is standard practice around here. And all the Democrats who are voting against it in the Senate right now, every single one of them have given impassioned speeches about how you must pass continuing resolutions, you must pass CRs, you should never shut down the government because it's dangerous and destructive and selfish and wrong. Well, suddenly they've changed their tune. We're playing, I invite you all after the press conference to go by the Speaker's office in the hallway there, and you can see the highlight reel of all of them saying this passionately, as recently as March of this last year when Chuck Schumer led his caucus to vote for the same CR. They did it 13 times during the Biden administration in the previous 4 years, but suddenly they won't do it. So everybody has to ask themselves why. It has nothing to do with health care. The subsidies that they're saying is the issue is not the issue. That is an issue for the end of the year. December 31 is when that expires. So Congress has 3 months to negotiate that. Certainly we could work on it in the month of October to find some consensus and figure that out, what reforms there may be necessary to make all that happen. Republicans are committed to the health care of Americans. We have already proven that we are making health care more efficient and effective and more available so that we can bring down cost and premiums and improve quality of care. We put the goods on paper. We're doing that. And the CBO analysis that came out August 25th said that these changes that we put in our bill are doing exactly that. The Congressional Budget Office is not a Republican shop, as you all know. They typically go against what I'm doing, okay, but they had to admit that this is going to make 2.3 ineligible recipients no longer on the Medicaid rolls. It's going to save $185 billion for taxpayers. That's exactly what we promised, and that's what's going to be achieved. But we have more reforms coming to try to fix Obamacare, which is not working for the people. But you need common sense, responsible Republicans who are serious about policy to fix that for the people, and that's what we're working to do. The Democrats are stalling that because they need a political talking point. And why? Because Chuck Schumer, who leads the Democrats, is terrified that he's not going to win back his Senate seat. He's afraid that the Marxist far-left corner of his base is going to challenge him in New York. Maybe many of you have noticed New York is probably going to elect a Marxist for mayor. He's terrified by that development. Chuck Schumer is a far-left progressive politician, but he's not far enough left for this base. And so he's got to show a fight against the president. He's got to show that he's fighting Republicans. And because they're playing political games and they're not doing what he himself said passionately as recently as 6 months ago that must be done, that you passed a standard bipartisan CR. Because he needs political cover, he is dragging the American people through this. And who's getting hurt? women, infants, and children, nutrition programs that are now stalled, veterans' health services that will not be provided, people who are low-income Medicare recipients who receive telehealth and health treatment at home. Many of those programs are not being funded. We have troops and TSA agents and Border Patrol agents who are working without pay, protecting the country. And you have FEMA services, health insurance policies, for example, that are being stalled in the middle of a hurricane season because the Democrats want to play political games and try to obscure the real facts at issue. We challenge them. We challenge them to tell us why they're not trying to give illegal aliens health care again when they put it in their own bill. This is not Republicans playing games. I could have put Republican conservative priorities on the CR and sent it over there, but I didn't. And so when you all ask me, why aren't you negotiating with them? I don't have anything to negotiate. Leader Thune and I can't take off Republican priorities that we put in the CR and say, hey, is that better? Could you vote for that? Because we didn't put them on there in the first place. Why? Because Republicans are being responsible. We're operating in good faith, and we're trying to get the Democrats to do their job, and they won't. Those are the simple facts, and they cannot be obscured. I'm so grateful for the strong leadership of my colleague and partner over in the Senate, and I'd love Leader Thune to give you a little update here.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Speaker is right. We have an opportunity to pick up a House-passed bill that, if it passes the Senate, will be sent to the White House. The President will sign it, and the government will reopen. It's that simple and that straightforward, and that's all we're talking about here. All we need is a handful more Democrats. We have a majority of senators, 55 senators, have already voted for this clean, short-term, nonpartisan CR. As the Speaker said, no policy riders, no gimmicks, nothing in here that benefits Republicans. This is a straight-up 7-week funding resolution, and we need it to keep the government open. And if we don't keep the government open, you'll have all the things that the Speaker just alluded to, all the Americans who are adversely impacted by this government shutdown. Now, this is something, as you all know, as recently as the last administration, during the Biden administration, when the Democrats had the majority here in the United States Senate, the Democrats on 13 different occasions voted for this, a short-term continuing resolution. Now, I have to ask, what's changed? What's different about this? What's different is who's in the White House. That's what it's about. It's all about President Trump and the Democrats needing to pick a fight to satisfy their far-left political base, far-left activist organizations who are the tail wagging the dog right now. That's all this is about. And you have a Democrat leader from New York in the Senate, a Democrat leader in the House from New York, and you have a mayoral race in New York. You've got AOC, you've got all these people that are bringing pressure to bear on what should be a routine, simple, straightforward proposition, and that is a short-term continuing resolution to keep the government funded, which is sitting right now. This is sitting at the Senate desk. We will have a vote another hour or two, and it'll be the 4th time that Democrats will have an opportunity to vote to keep the government open. Now, at some point, reason, good sense, common sense has to take effect here, because that's really what this is. They brought to us, and the Speaker alluded to all the impacts on illegals and free health care programs in this country, a bill loaded with $1.5 trillion in new spending, which includes all these provisions. And they want to load that onto a 7-week continuing resolution to fund the government. Now, what's happening right now when the government is shut down, all the things that we could be doing, the defense authorization bill, which benefits every congressional district, every state across this country, is languishing right now because we are shut down. The other appropriations bills, we have people in the Senate, both Republicans and Democrats, and frankly, Democrats, I think especially, because they haven't had a chance to be heard in the appropriations process for a really long time. Because when Chuck Schumer ran the Senate, we didn't do appropriations bills. We didn't put them on the floor. They marked them up in committee, and then they died. And then he wrote it behind closed doors in his office. That's the difference. We are opening this process up, and one of the things that's not getting done while the government is shut down is an appropriations process that allows us to fund the government the old-fashioned way in the light of day. We aren't working on permitting reform, which should be a bipartisan priority. We aren't working on a farm bill. We got a lot of farm policy this summer in the Working Families Tax Cuts bill, but there's more to do there. Those should be bipartisan things that we could be working together on, along with appropriations. All those things aren't getting done right now because Senate Democrats have chosen to shut the government down. They have an opportunity, a fourth time today, to vote to open up the government and to allow us to do the rest of the work that the American people expects us to do. They have taken hostage the federal government and by extension the American people, who are the only losers in this. Everybody's talking about who wins and who loses and who gets the blame. That's not what this is about. This is about what's doing in the best interest of the American people. And what's in the best interest of the American people is keeping the government open and operating so it can continue to work on their behalf.
A few questions? Gary.
Are you all concerned that this decision by the administration to block some of these infrastructure projects, to take some of these blue states and target them, that could backfire on the momentum you guys have to try and break the stalemate and open up the government?
So the question is about the executive and the White House and what they're doing in this situation. Everybody needs to understand how this works. When Congress decides to turn off the lights, to shut the government down, it shifts the authority to the executive branch. That's how the process works. The person who has decided to put the White House in that situation is Chuck Schumer, who leads the Democrats, the 44 who keep voting to keep the government from opening up. They're voting to shut it down. So what happens in that situation? Whoever is the president, whoever is sitting in the White House, and their staffs at the Office of Management and Budget are given an unenviable task. It's a regretful situation. They have to then determine, since the spigots have been effectively turned off and there's no more money coming in, they have to then prioritize, triage effectively, federal spending. They have to look at all of that and say, you know, which things are deemed essential and which are non-essential, which priorities, policies, and personnel must be kept to keep the government operating, and which are less of a priority. So whomever is sitting in the White House gets to then apply their lenses of review. We happen to have a Republican, a conservative administration. We're very grateful for that. We're limited government conservatives. We think the government's too big. We think the federal government is too big. It does too many things, and it does almost nothing well. And so it serves the taxpayers to send less of their hard-earned money to Washington and keep more in their pockets. That's what we're advancing through the One Big Beautiful Bill and all the legislative priorities that we achieve. But see, sometimes Democrats, not sometimes, all the time, Democrats don't agree with that because they love big government. I mean, listen to them. They want the government to control every aspect of your lives, and they need all of your hard-earned dollars to do that. In fact, they'd like to take them all. That's what the socialists are arguing for. That's what the Marxists believe. We believe the opposite. So here's this situation. Here's the president, the current occupant of the White House, that's been given this opportunity by Chuck Schumer. And he's a limited government conservative. He's looking at that and saying, gee, you know, this is inefficient, this is ineffective. And we'd never get Democrat votes to limit that because they never vote to limit government, ever. It's against their religion. But he has that opportunity now to say, this is a program that would serve the American people if it were not funded, because government would be more efficient and effective, and that serves everyone. So they're going to make those decisions. Now, are they taking great pleasure in that? No. Is he trolling the Democrats? Yes. I mean, yes, because that's what President Trump does, and people are having fun with this. But at the end of the day, the decisions are tough ones. And I've met with him. I talked yesterday at length with Russ Vought, who's the director of the Office of Management and Budget. Russ takes no pleasure in this. Russ wants to see a smaller, more efficient, more lean, effective federal government as we do, but he doesn't want people to lose jobs. He doesn't want to do that, but he has, that's his responsibility. So he's very carefully, methodically, very deliberately looking through that to see which decisions can be made in the best interest of the American people. That's his obligation, and that's his real desire. The president takes no pleasure in this, but if Chuck Schumer is going to give Donald Trump the opportunity to determine what the priorities are, he's going to exercise that opportunity, and that's where we are. Chad.
Square something for me. How could you say that they take no pleasure in this, and then the next minute say, oh, they're just having fun and trolling people? This is a government shutdown. On one hand, you say this is very serious, that people's jobs are on the line. The other hand, you say, oh, this is just fun and games and they're trolling.
So the effects are very serious on real people, real Americans. We support federal employees who do a great job in all these different areas, but what they're trying to have fun with, trying to make light of, is to point out the absurdity of the Democrats' position, and they're using memes and all the tools of social media to do that. Some people find that entertaining, but at the end of the day, the decisions are hard ones, and I'm telling you, they're not taking any pleasure in that. Yes, Jake.
is the Democrats are saying they would like you and the leader to put in writing that you want, how you'll handle the Obamacare stuff.
Jake is asking, the Democrats' latest demand, apparently I haven't heard that, but they want us to put in writing how some of these unresolved questions will be resolved. Here's the problem. Some of the issues that they're bringing to the table and they're demanding immediate, easy answers for are not easy answers, and they take a long time to deliberate. That is the process. This is a deliberative body and a very large one. We got 435 over there and 100 over here. We can't snap our fingers and he and I and two other leaders in a room go, oh, well, this is the resolution. That's not how it works. So what we're trying to do to buy the extra time to get to November 21st is to give both chambers and this whole body 7 more weeks to figure that out. So it's not an easy solution. They know that very well. They know it as well as we do, but they're using that as a red herring because they want to drag this along so they can get political points. Yes?
Do you take any responsibility for what's happening, and what is the justification for not holding votes in your chamber this week and potentially yours this weekend when there are some bipartisan conversations happening in the Senate? Why not just stay here and work this out?
I'll give you my quick answer. I'll yield to the leader, but my quick answer is very simple. The House did its job. The House sent a bipartisan, very simple, very conventional, 24-page continuous resolution to keep the lights on. And we sent it over, we passed it, and it's been rejected by the Senate. So the House will come back into session and do its work as soon as Chuck Schumer allows us to reopen the government. That's plain and simple.
Right. Well, and as I mentioned, all the things we aren't doing, right? So we're in a shutdown posture here because of Senate Democrats. There is united support, House Republicans, Senate Republicans, a few Senate Democrats, the President of the United States, in support of opening the government back up. And right now it's being blocked by the Senate Democrats. And all it takes, as you point out, is a handful more. We get 4 or 5 more votes and we can actually pass this thing. And there are discussions going on with our colleagues on both sides of the aisle. But at some point they have to take yes for an answer. I mean, the things that people want, and I don't disagree with this at all, is a normal appropriations process, putting bills on the floor, getting conference passed bills on the floor of the House and Senate so we can actually fund the government the old-fashioned way. And I'm all for that, and we've made that very clear to them. We can't make commitments or promises on the COVID subsidies because that's not something that we can guarantee that there are the votes there to do. But what I've said is I'm open to having conversations with our Democrat colleagues about how to address that issue. And I think that but that can't happen while the government is shut down. I mean, we've got to open up the government. And with respect to our schedule, like I said, I don't know how many times you're going to give them a chance to vote no. And hopefully over the weekend, they'll have a chance to think about it. And maybe some of these conversations start to result in something to where we can start moving some votes and actually get this thing passed. But there's nothing to be gained at this point by negotiating something that there's nothing to negotiate. I mean, I think that's essentially where we are. This is again, a straightforward, simple solution to keep the government open, and then all these other issues that we're talking about, we're happy to sit down and have conversations.
The president said that this is an unprecedented opportunity to make cuts to programs. Do you see that as an unprecedented opportunity, and is that helpful toward these bipartisan negotiations? You mentioned you only need a handful more Democrats.
Well, I mean, as the speaker pointed out, when you're in a shutdown situation, you have to manage the government. And any administration is going to make decisions based on their priorities. Figure out where to move money from here to here, this agency, this department, these employees. That's the situation the Democrats have put the administration in. Now, to your point, I mean, I think they're going to make decisions that are consistent with their priorities. And yes, they're going to have a different political view of the world than the Democrats might have, but that's what the Democrats have wrought by doing this. They are allowing the administration to do the very thing that back in March they said they didn't want to give them the authority to do, and that's to make decisions just like that. But that's what's going to happen. And again, why I'm at a loss to explain the strategy behind this, other than it generates contributions and activist energy support from the far left of the Democrat Party. If you're a Republican or a Democrat here in the Senate or in the House for that matter, who actually wants to get results and get things done, you're losing that opportunity by keeping the government shut down, and you're also handing the administration an opportunity to do things that probably in most cases you're not going to agree with.
Last question. Speaker. Is out with a new poll that shows overwhelming support, including among Republicans, to extend the Obamacare subsidies. I know you both said you want to reform them, so do you commit to doing something to address those subsidies so that insurance premiums don't spike for Americans in
Republicans commit to continue the work that we've already been doing and demonstrating to bring down costs and improve quality of care. We are committed to that, and we will do whatever is necessary to make it happen. This is one of many issues that have to be deliberated and discussed through our process. What we're asking the Democrats to do, I'll close as we began, please open the government so we can do that work, so that all the members of both chambers can be here to do the work, to legislate and to deliberate. They've stopped our ability to do that with these political antics, and we hope it ends. Thank you all for being here.
People are furloughed. Why the firings?
West of Chicago, DHS Secretary Kristi Noem is on the ground there, visiting the ICE facility in Broadview, Illinois, as hundreds of anti-ICE protesters gather outside. That facility serves as the federal processing hub for what's being called Operation Midway Blitz. Garrett Tenney's there, live now, 30 minutes due west of Chicago. Garrett, hello.
Yeah, Bill, good morning to you. We are now more than a month into these protests outside this ICE facility with hundreds.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the first episode. Because I'm a professional, damn it. That's why. But it's kind of meaningless because it really, really doesn't matter. You understand what I'm saying? That's just the way that it goes. Let's go to the next one right now. Give it to me.
The WNBA isn't a league. It's a marketing campaign for Caitlin Clark.